Hello, good evening. It's time for Business Live. Here's what to expect. Customs officials on high alert at all ports to reduce the surge of COVID-19 cases. Also, threats of the continental free trade failing looms as the single African market for air transport is still not implemented. And later on, Ghana to displace Ivory Coast as the leading exporter and earner of palm oil production in West Africa for the next 5 years. We have more on these stories coming up shortly after this break. Hello there, you're welcome to the program. Customs officials at the airports as well as the land ports have been on high alert to prevent further surge in COVID cases from various entry points. This is done through the migration of many import inspection activities onto digital platforms. Speaking at the International Customs Day celebration in Accra, the chairman of the Implementation Committee of ICOMS, Assistant Commissioner Emmanuel Ohene, disclosed that the Commission is deploying advanced technology to ensure physical contacts are minimized at the ports.
Integrated Customs Management System in the year 2020, from its inception, was able to rake in close to 11.5 billion for the government in 2020. In the face of the second wave, we have developed and are in the process of introducing new facilities and new ways of conducting business, which will ensure that we reduce the physical contact. And one of such, which is for the second phase of the deployment, is to ensure that we can introduce the authorized economic operators module, which gives priority to compliant traders to clear their goods without any customs intervention. We also have in mind to deploy the second phase, what you know as the API, the Advanced Passenger Information Systems, which is going to be in collaboration with the airport authorities and all other security and stakeholders who operate at the airports, to make available information and data on incoming passengers and their cargo, so that we can facilitate fast clearance of goods at the airports and also profile passengers who pose high risk in any form or contact. The last is the introduction of an electronic wallet that will ensure that when you have made an overpayment, the overpayment can be credited to your e-wallet, so that in the event you have another consignment coming in, you'll be in a position to benefit from the overpayment that is being kept on the e-wallet.
Well, that was Assistant Commissioner Emmanuel Ohene, who is the chairman of the Implementation Committee for ICOMS. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Customs, retired Colonel Kwejo Damoa, has emphasized the need for the use of artificial intelligence as well as other modern technologies for the activities of custom operations, especially at the seaports.
Administration should look at the way goods are cleared at borders from a fresh perspective. Non-intrusive inspection devices, blockchain, artificial intelligence, sensors, and commercial objects and other technological advances offer tangible benefits in terms of collecting, combining, sharing, and analyzing data. And these benefits should be maximized. Putting people at the center of change for a resilient and sustainable supply chain. In order to address the vulnerability of customs to systemic risks such as pandemics, customs administrations will be called upon to build on the lessons learned and ensure that no one is left behind as we move towards a deeper transformation. To create greater resilience, people should be at the center of the recovery model. Citizens around the globe have changed their daily lives drastically to adapt to the new reality. By the same token, customs are called upon to rethink and adopt the way they operate and enhance the preparedness of that staff through awareness raising and capacity building for the provision of a professional service. At the same time, resilience cannot be achieved without integrity, diversity, and inclusion. A lack of integrity in customs can distort trade and investment opportunities, undermine public trust in government, administration, and ultimately jeopardize the well-being of citizens, which in times of recovery could move to be a recipe for failure. The World Customs Organization will continue to provide guidance, help to share best practices and information, and deliver capacity building and technical assistance to support members for the achievement of the above goals.
Even as Ghana and the rest of Africa gets into a single market through the Continental Free Trade Agreement, there are fears that the non-existence of a single airline market could defeat the very purpose of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. For this to happen, the former head of commercial of Amtrak Air, as well as an aviation expert, Richard Treb, is calling for the single Africa air transport market framework to be fully implemented. Before he comes on board, let's have a little information about this particular market. On your screen there, on our fact sheet, we have the fact that it is a flagship program of the AU Agenda 2063, which seeks to create a liberalized single air market for the movement of persons and goods within the African market. We also know that it provides a framework for the protection of consumer rights, fair competition among participating players, as well as a platform for dispute resolution. Plus, as of January 2020, only 34 countries, including Ghana, had signed a commitment to this agreement. And we do know as well that in the absence of this single Africa air traffic market, bilateral services agreement is being used by countries to enhance commercial aviation and trade activities. So what it means is that countries are reaching agreements with various airlines on their own way without having a unionized form of engagement. Let's now hear from the former head of commercial as well as an aviation expert, Richard Treb, who spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
Look at our continent. Taxes within the continent are very high, and based on jurisdictions of each and every carrier, you have taxes which has been imposed. For instance, if I'm flying from Accra to Lagos, you have close to $150 or less dollars between Accra and Lagos. That is taxes alone. More or less, if you look at Europe market, it's a different thing altogether. You can fly from any part of Europe, and the taxes on it will be less than $8. So these are things that we need to actually look at to ensure that the implementation of the single African air transport market becomes a reality. To abolish most of all these taxes and other impediments have to be cleared.
Well, so moving forward, how can we achieve the full implementation of this very much brilliant initiative?
We need to encourage governments. Currently, we have close to 21 countries who have not signed on this, and we need to encourage them to do so. Again, they need to also realize the needs and the returns that will be contributed into the GDP of these economies. At the background of this, a study was conducted between 12 countries, and out of the study, we realized that, which Ghana was actually part of that study, we realized that when we implement this, fares will be reduced by about 25 to 35%, and that is significant. About close to 5 million persons who ordinarily will not be able to afford air travel will be able to afford that. So this and many more, our region will be interconnected, and connectivity is key at this point in time. Now that we have AFTA, it is important to make sure we liberalize our airspace so that air transport connectivity, our goods and services, will be able to have a good intra-African connectivity within our continent.
Still stay with the Continental Free Trade Agreement because there are growing fears that Ghanaian entrepreneurs could lose out on the benefits of this single market. Even as we host the Secretariat and trade beginning on the very 1st of January, outstanding challenges crippling the competitiveness of young entrepreneurs still linger. I earlier on spoke to Sheriff Gali, the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Entrepreneurs, on this issue.
One thing we need to understand is that aside all this, we are looking at a country that should have a strategy for after. No matter the situations we are facing internally when it comes to our entrepreneurs not being able to access funding. Now let's ask ourselves, what is the strategy of Ghana as far as after is concerned? How are we planned, or what is our program lineup going into after? That is one thing that is lacking. I know almost all the African countries also have issues with access to credit and all these things, but the fact is that they all have a strategy. The Nigerians will tell you that they are going to make sure that they become the tech giants in Africa. What is Ghana hoping to sell out? You see, if we are able to
does it mean that we have nothing? Does it mean that we have nothing to sell out at this point?
Well, you and I know that I will not say we do not have, but let's be honest. Even the cocoa, that is one of our strengths. How much of the cocoa are we having as end product that we are able to take out, even within Ghana? How much of our cocoa companies are able to come out with finished product that they sell in our market? We do not have. They can't even supply. Let's put it that way. If you are looking for any product of, let's say, chocolate, go to the shopping mall. You will see at least 90% of the foreign chocolate. So now, what is the trend? I am not saying that we have a lot that we can hammer on. The tech industry is there. We are looking at the agro-processing business. All these are sectors that Ghana can really focus on and export, especially after is concerned. But as it stands now, you and I are not too clear about what is really our strategy as a country. So for that reason, businesses are left onto their own to struggle, and to even understanding after is one of the things. How do they leverage that? So even if today our government is able to provide funding, even if today our businesses are able to access funding and land and all this, but at the end of the day, what is our strategy? How are we even helping these businesses to go beyond the borders of Ghana?
Now, Ghana will displace Ivory Coast to become the lead exporter and earner of palm oil production in West Africa for the next 5 years. Now, this is a disclosure from Bloomberg and Fitch Solutions, of which we have more in this report.
Ghana's palm oil production will increase by an average of 4.4% year-on-year from 2021 to 2025, with the growth rate increasing at the end of that period. This means the nation would dislodge Ivory Coast as the regional top performer. According to the report, a number of recent establishments of both industry and government bodies to regulate and support the palm industry have improved the potential of the national sector compared with other countries in the region. Already, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and the Ministry of Trade are seeking to develop a palm oil surplus from which they estimate $134 million could be earned within the next 10 years through exports. The Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana was revived in 2015 and is currently being supported by the Solidaridad in a strategic plan to improve its governance and administration by 2024. The government has also recently provided support for the sector in multiple ways, which Fitch Solutions and Bloomberg believe will incentivize further investments in the coming years. However, despite the recent developments in the Ghanaian palm oil sector, production growth will fail to meet demand growth. Also, West Africa will not become a major global supplier of palm oil in the coming years, with the top producers remaining in Southeast Asia.
Now, the General Manager of Operations at Bisbee Pure Honey, Awisome Kwamiche Adoboy, has urged the Ghana Standards Authority to relax its standardization of the exportation of pure honey. According to him, the high standard imposed by the authority is negatively affecting their business. He spoke to my colleague Emma Davis.
With the international side, it's 14 to 21% moisture. And then they have 0 or 1% to 9% sucrose. But it's in grades, like I said. But in Ghana, ours is 5. So what we are doing is that with the international standardization, we meet halfway. Because if even Standards Authority is saying that moisture should be 23%, if you are getting 23% moisture in honey, it means that you are getting about 10 to 11% sucrose.
So you mentioned about the lowering of standards by the Ghana Standard Authority.
Okay.
How has that affected business?
We at Bisbee haven't been actually affected by that standardization.
Okay.
But one of our colleagues on the market, recently I heard that he actually went for a contract from the EU to be able to supply honey. So he was able to collect about 2,000 tons. He was able to collect that much, and he exported it as the first approved import or export of honey from Ghana, or West Africa.
Yeah, I was coming to that because some research I read showed that Ghana is in agreement with the EU to export honey, but then we haven't. So you are telling
we did.
Okay.
The Ghana did, but just that there was an issue with the honey because of the standard.
Okay.
There is one thing we call crystallization. That is what affected that batch of honey that was sent out, because the standard was very low. They would also want to meet the Ghana Standards Authority standard by 5%. Now 5%, if you're getting 5% or 4% of sucrose in honey, you should be getting about maximum 15%. You understand? Maximum 15% of moisture.
Yeah.
The lower the moisture in honey,
the higher
the swifter or the faster the honey will crystallize. Now, it might do well here as a polyfloral, but as soon as it changes temperature from transportation, from storage, and in this case, you are taking from different sources together, you understand, to export. So it is a long process. Yes, it's a long route before it gets to the EU. It got there, and all the 20,000 tons had crystallized. Till now that I heard, from last that I heard, it's still sitting in the warehouses. You understand? So if Ghana Standards Authority, or if our standards could be raised just a little, because honey with about 7%, 8%, 9% sucrose is still good to consume. Because like I was telling you, all these samples that are here, some of them are 8%, some of them are 7%, some of them are 9%, and we can't buy from them. So those ones can meet the international standard, but Standards Authority won't approve it. FDA won't approve.
Well, COVID-19 has ravaged global economies and consequently impacted many businesses, particularly sales and customer service. But it has also brought lots of innovations, especially in the area of customer experience and digitalization. One firm which is using enterprise solutions and cost-effective tech solutions to keep businesses in customer engagement and team building is Kovit Technologies. Here is its chief executive, Ben Atichogui.
Our business is to assist our customers to digitize and to serve customers in a digital manner. So COVID has actually spurred us on to speed up in this process. Some of our customers who have already digitized major part of their business and have developed the customer experience solution using the digital approach are surviving. And so we have emphasized our businesses to grow in that sector. And our business is customer experience and digitization, which has become the landmark that can survive any business today. From ordering of anything, food, paying bills, getting customer support, all has to be done through digitization. So our business today survives on social distancing. You don't need to get in touch to serve your customers. So the tools to help any business to do this is what we're doing.
Mr. Atichogui also urged all businesses to digitize their operations since COVID-19 has brought a new norm which they must conform to.
COVID is ending today or not, this is a new way of life, and all businesses must digitize. And to digitize, you need a contact center. You cannot digitize your process. You cannot have mobile apps. You cannot have social media. without the contact center, because how does customer engage you if they have a challenge using your digital tools? So we provide the platform to allow your customers to contact or to engage digitally wherever they are. Today, if you're a bank, you want to give a loan to a customer. In the past, a customer has to walk into your bank and apply for a loan, or they go online and apply for a loan. Now, you still have to meet them, you still have to go to their premises to inspect and do a lot of stuff.
Well, away from that, in today's edition of MoneyLab, the Executive Director of Financial Literacy for Africa, Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, is focusing on how to manage your debt. Take a listen.
Welcome to MoneyLab today. We are on a journey towards achieving financial wellness. We've looked at the income side. Today we want to look at debt. Debt is a big topic when we talk about financial wellness. And for many people, we are caught up in a quagmire of debt and we are paying so much interest, we really don't know what to do. For many also, sometimes what is left after all the deductions is nothing that can even take you home. How do you manage your debts in these difficult times so you can be financially well and avoid money stress? One critical thing you have to do if you're already in debt is to be interested in the details of the debts. It is true that they said you are paying it in 3 years or in 5 years, but are you following to be sure that every month as you get the deduction notice, it is taking you to the duration they said they are going to be paying you? Don't go to bed on the deductions and just leave it to the bank or the financial institution. Be marking yourself to know whether you are closing out on your debt or not. Another thing you need to know is that anytime you fail on repayments, the bank increases the gap once again and the penalty of not paying goes up, and so you never finish paying. And so if you want to be financially well, I want to advise you to be interested in the details of your debt portfolio. And number two, be marking yourself as you repay so you know how close you are getting to the exit of final repayment. When you do these two things, you'll be getting closer to becoming financially well. Join us tomorrow as I talk about whether to even take any more debt or not.
I tried to take down some notes. That's how we end this edition of Business Live with me, Charles Ayatim.